Welcome to part 3 of our live training session here with our RB25 swapped 240SX. Now, in the last video, we got our engine fired up and running. We checked the timing with a timing light. Everything is going to be set up and ready to go. This video, we're going to be taking a look at doing the part throttle, fuel, and ignition timing tuning. We're also going to be taking a look at how to dial in and work with our fuel injection timing table. That's the very last step when we're doing our fuel calibration process. We have a lot to cover. Let's jump into this live training session so we can get started. Welcome back to our live training session here with our RB25 swapped 240SX. In the last video, we learned how to get our engine fired off and running. We have our mechanical idle sorted out. We know the engine's maintaining its own idle, and if we shut it off and turn it back on again, it will go in properly hot start. So it's going to be cranking and firing up and having a proper air fuel and then settling out into normal idle. So we're ready to turn our attention into doing the part throttle driving process, part throttle tuning process in this tutorial. We're going to be looking at how to dial our fuel in, our VE fuel table. If we take a look right now on the screen, I have my VE table up here. It's in my VE fuel tuning tab. We're going to find that we're going to be focusing on essentially 0 PSI and below in our VE calibration process. And really from roughly 2,000 RPM to maybe about 5,000 or 6,000 RPM in this range, we'll be able to sort this out. This is going to be where we spend the majority of the time when we're driving. Now the fuel tuning process is extremely simple. We're going to be using our feedback, our lambda feedback, which we can find right here. We're taking a look underneath. We have our injector 1 lambda feedback. We're going to be watching what this is going to be changing or going to be showing us in a percentage of adjustment to our injector pulse width, essentially telling us how far our VE model is off by. We're going to use that and guide us in tuning our part throttle fuel tuning within the VE table here and just showing how far our airflow model is off here. Now, once we dial this in, then we can turn our attention into tuning our spark timing. If we jump into our spark timing table here, we're going to find from essentially 0 PSI and below, so full engine vacuum here, from roughly 2,000 all the way across. We've set our spark timing here just at a generic value of 15 degrees. I purposely did this so that we had safe spark timing so that we could go in and do the part throttle fuel tuning first and not have to worry about knock or pre-ignition. This is always going to be a factor on any engine that you're going to be working with in tuning. We don't want to have to worry about spark timing if we're doing our fuel tuning. We can tune our fuel first, then jump back into our spark timing, and we can sort that out at a later point in time. So it's not important that we go in and we deal with it right off the bat, dealing with our spark timing. We want to separate the process. So we're going to be doing fuel first, then spark timing. Once we have optimized our fuel and spark timing, we'll find we have one last piece of the puzzle here as far as our fuel calibration process goes, or part throttle calibration process. We want to move into our fuel injection timing table, which is going to be found here if we jump into our injector information under our FI timing X. This is our fuel injector timing table. This table can be further optimized so that we're delivering the fuel exactly within the auto cycle as we'd like. If we can time this perfectly, we'll find that we pick up a little bit more fuel efficiency, and we'll also pick up some more throttle response. Both things that we want to have happen to improve the drivability of our vehicle. So economy will go up, drivability will go up. And as a result of getting this dialed in here, it will cause us to go back in and touch up our VE table. At the very end of the video, we're going to look at that and making sure that any of the deviations from changing our fuel injection timing can be absorbed into our VE fuel tuning table. Now, one thing I want to mention here is that you can't optimize your injection timing until you've optimized and sorted out your VE table. You have to get this sorted first so that you can measure the difference or the changes as you're finding when you're adjusting your fuel injection timing. So we can see here in the fuel injection timing table, a value of 0 is a good starting point. I'll get into this later in the video, but we want to have this at 0. If your calibration file has anything other than 0 in the table, change it to 0, tune your main fuel table, deal with your spark timing table, and then come back into this table and then start to adjust it. Again, we're going to be looking at that at the very end of the video. This is the last piece of the puzzle to be able to get that last bit of efficiency and the best throttle response out of our engine. One thing I do want to mention, and I'll probably mention it at that point when we're dealing with looking at our fuel injection timing, if we optimize our injection timing, we'll find that we need less acceleration enrichment, which is going to be the transient throttle events where we have a momentary burst of airflow. We'll find the fuel is going to be a direct shot into the engine, and it'll tax the acceleration enrichment less, or meaning we need less fuel under acceleration enrichment. So we'll find here, we're going to call the acceleration enrichment in AEM Infinity here wall wetting. So wall wetting table 1, wall wetting table 2. It'll use less add an injector pulse width through the wall wetting or the acceleration enrichment if we get the injection timing timed properly. Again, I'll talk about that later in the video once we get to that point in the tutorial. So at this point, we are ready to fire up the engine and start to take a look at our fuel tuning process. Now, this vehicle is loud. I am going to be wearing headphones as I'm doing some of this calibration process. I don't want to have to go and yell over the vehicle as I'm starting to tune. So what I'm going to do here is preface what I'm doing before I actually do the process of either fuel or spark timing tuning or injection timing tuning. And then I'm going to go through and just show you on screen how it's going to be accomplished. And then we can shut it off and talk a little bit easier. Again, this vehicle's loud, the dyno's loud, and some of the other live training tutorials, my voice gets almost washed out from the external audio that's going on here. With the vehicle running, it's just going to be a pretty raw vehicle here. So let's go and talk about the fuel tuning here. So when we fire it off, we do see that the coolant temp is 155. I'll allow it to come up to... Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.